7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning, June 13th, 2018. I'll call this meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council Committee to hold to order. Roll call, please.
Pepper.
Here.
Fish.
Here.
Rachel.
Here.
First, Thompson.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Bell and Hicks.
We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is an update from West Central Initiative, and I'll call on the newest member of the West Central Initiative team, Rebecca Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor Shire and City Council members. My colleague Tom Experiment just went to see if we had some extra packets.
Thank you.
I only brought 8, but since there are 6.
There's only 5
But
of us.
okay, so far.
Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, as Mayor Shire says, I'm the newest member of
Thank
the
you.
West Central Initiative. I just joined the staff on May 1st, so I guess I'm 5 weeks into my tenure here.
Welcome, officially welcome back to the community.
Thank you. It's great to be back. It's great to be back. I was in Duluth for 7 years, and here I am back in Fergus Falls. So I'm going to paraphrase some comments from some of my colleagues. There's a letter of thanks in your packet from our president, Anna Wasesha. Anna's been 1 year in her position, and we're excited to have her back in Fergus Falls as well. West Central Initiative is in our 32nd year of uniting ideas and resources to help people and communities create a better tomorrow. And as we move forward into strategic planning, we're looking at new ways of doing things. Anna, in completing her first year at West Central Initiative, likes to say, "But that's the way we've always done it," is not part of our conversations. Already in her first year with West Central Initiative, we've seen some new things happening. Rick Shera has been added to our staff. He's been working on our Live Wide Open campaign, which encourages people to live here, work here, move their families back to the 9-county region that West Central Initiative serves. We also have a new staff member, Jill Amundson, who has joined our planner, Greg Wagner, as associate planner. She's been doing a lot of work in economic development and transportation and community development planning. And recently she's been going out and doing a presentation on the future of retail. We all know that we have some challenges and some opportunities in retail. And Jill's been doing a really great upbeat presentation about the entrepreneurial spirit and what's happening in some of our small communities with retail to address this situation. She also has a video, and she likes to lead a conversation about the future of retail. So if anyone is interested in having her do a presentation, she's available to do that. We also have a new grant program. It's called the Changemakers Grant. And these are grants of up to $5,000 that are available to organizations, schools, cities, and counties to begin a planning process to address community issues and result in a plan for positive change. And we have 2 grant rounds remaining yet this year. One, the deadline is July 6th. The other is November 9th. We also continue our good work in early childhood initiatives, and we have added forgivable loan opportunity for some child care providers throughout the region. We know that our past successes, our new programs, and the impact we continue to have in our region would not be possible without the support we receive from cities, counties, corporations, and individuals. And my work with the Initiative Fund in the next few years is to continue to build our endowment and build our opportunity to give grants and loans and carry on the great work of my colleague Tom Experiment, who is retiring later this year. He thinks that it might be warmer in Arizona.
It's
So-
very warm there right now.
Yeah. So we'll be also hiring additional staff in the development department. And if you have any questions, thank goodness Tom is here. Maybe he can help me answer them.
Any questions for Rebecca or Tom?
Well, thank you for your,
Doing the
Yeah,
good
just
work.
like to say thank you so much to West Central Initiative, to Anna, to Rebecca, for Tom, for all you guys do. And Tom, best of luck in retirement.
great, thanks.
Thank you,
you.
Rebecca. All right. Next item on the agenda is police officer hire request. Public Safety, Chief of Public Safety, Kyle Bergen. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packets, you should have a memo in front of you A couple of issues are driving this request. One, I've spoke with Andrew Bremseth and Mike Hartwell, our Human Resources Director, about, and that is just in forecasting for personnel needs. We have some significant changeover that's probably going to be occurring within our office with retirements. We're looking at the potential of probably 7 retirements in the next 7 years. We're just trying to get ahead of that. The second factor is just that we're seeing an increased call load. I look back, I think in the last 6 years, we've seen at least a 30% increase, if not more than that. So that's what's really driving the need. We're looking at this potentially as just a temporary thing. This is a position that could be phased out at the end of this retirement wave. It also could be phased out at any point just through natural attrition if we got into a financial bind. At the bottom of the memo, I kind of outlined the costs for 2018. You know, I'm looking at about $30,000. I think that's probably a little bit at the high end by the time we got somebody on board. We had an officer leave our agency to take a position with another agency in central Minnesota, and between his vacancy that's currently there and some of the cost savings that we've incurred and some of the cost savings with the community service program, between those two areas, that completely funds that position for the remainder of the year. I guess moving forward into 2019, as I had indicated, I feel very comfortably, and I've talked with Bill Sonmore about just some reallocations within our budget. I know that we can fund that position at a 0.8 position. If the council wishes to fund it fully at 100%, it would probably cost an additional $15,000. So today I'm asking you to approve the hiring for the position. I guess I would make the request that you do fund it at 100%. But if you're not comfortable with that, at least, like I said, we can fund this position at 80% with no additional cost to the taxpayer.
So Kyle, the 100% would be a request for 2019, correct? Correct. That would go through the tax levy process. So
Yep.
really what we would approve today would be the 30,000, which would be absorbed into the 2018 budget, and you just basically...
I think today it would be that you're authorizing the hiring for the position, and then based on your decision, we will budget accordingly for future years.
So any questions of Kyle? Yes.
I'll offer it, and then
I'll second it.
good job to get that done, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we have a motion to bring this to the council on Monday night for further discussion and to approve the hiring of the position police officer. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Next item on the agenda is Mr. Brian Barrow with the 2018 mill and overlay projects.
Thank you, and good morning, Your Honor, members of the council. On Thursday, we opened sealed bids in the council chambers here for Public Improvement 5321, the 2018 annual mill and overlay project. We received a total of 3 bids at the time of the opening. Mark Lee Asphalt and Paving of Alexandria was the apparent low bidder. They submitted a bid amount of $139,363.10. Their engineer's estimate was $187,000. So based on that, we validated the bids, and we determined that they had a valid bid submitted. So at this time, I prepared a total project cost, estimating the project cost for their engineering and construction contingencies, approximately $216,400. Please note that within my table, I've also allotted a monetary amount of $34,840, which reflects the additional requested action of I want to add to the base contract up to 25%, and that's what that amount indicates if that's authorized by the council. Requesting this additional add to the base contract based on these bid prices we received. And as discussed, one segment that we could possibly add to this contract is Baird Street, generally located between Beach and Freiburg. And we're looking at additional other little streets within that vicinity that we could possibly add to the base contract. That's within our guidelines. So if acceptable, if approved, this work could complete this summer and substantial completion being this fall. So budgetary impact, we're looking to fund this project from our annual levy amount of $170,000. We also are carrying over requested and carrying over $54,000 from last year's budget funds. So that being said, we have this is fully funded if this is authorized by the council. So at this time, I'm requesting award of the construction contract to Markley Asphalt and Paving in the amount of $139,363.10, and authorization to file a change order with the amount not to exceed 25% of the base contract.
Thank you, Brian. And just to clarify, so that, I think you said this, but just so the 25% is because we got a good bid, and it's within the budget, so let's get as much done as we can
Yep.
on this good bid, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep, all right,
Yep.
great.
Similar
And,
to what we've done the previous, actually, 2 years.
Sure,
Council's authorized it.
great. So it's underneath the still underneath the engineer's estimate, so.
Yeah, let's do it.
questions?
No, let's do it.
All right, thanks,
I'll second
Darren. Second over there, Justin, thank you. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Next item on the agenda is a community housing needs discussion, and I'll call on Community and Economic Development Director Amy Baldwin.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. There is a memo that was sent at your chair that outlines the discussion around the formation of a housing partnership task force. Recently, the City of Fergus Falls, the EIC, and the HRA hosted a workshop to start conversations around the current and future needs of housing within Fergus Falls. Looked at discussion around the actual inventory needs, the condition of our existing housing stock, as well as other factors on availability, and to ensure that we were trying to start a foundation of answering the question of what do we need to do to improve the quality and the supply of housing in Fergus Falls. Again, the focus of the workshop was to establish a shared understanding of what our current housing conditions are, develop an understanding of our needs today and into the future, and start to think about opportunities to establish development partnerships to spur specifically single-family housing development. We had great attendance at the workshop. Nearly everyone who was invited from various areas of that touch the housing market within Fergus Falls attended. We had over 25 individuals representing local developers, realtors, financial lenders, and nonprofit partners, as well as the city, to the EIC and Otter Tail County staff in attendance. So shown on the screen and what was included in the packet was the result of that workshop, again, to answer the question about what do we need to do to improve the quality and supply of housing. 6 primary areas were identified. The primary one that received the most discussion was that this needed more work, and people were willing to do that work, whether it was the development community, other partners, nonprofits, the HRA, to come together to really give a more thorough look at what are the opportunities, what are the options for partnerships, specifically how we looked at the workshop. We looked at some models that other communities have implemented that brought in the trades and developers, creating a co-op model in one case, and just how those partnerships could work, how we can leverage each other's skills, abilities, and resources. And the thought was creating a housing partnership task force that would have a limited time frame, a very specific purpose, and have a set period of time that would meet. This isn't proposed to be a new ongoing committee or commission or effort. That this would have a specific purpose that would be defined, and again have a broad representation similar to what we saw at the workshop itself. Probably not 25 people, but bringing representatives from those various organizations and entities together. And again, strong interest by those who attended to continue the discussion. Some of the topics that the task force could really hit are kind of the other high-level areas that are in the colored boxes. So developing models for viable development, that's, looking at Fergus Falls, we can't just take what another community is doing and put that into Fergus Falls. We have to look at what are our conditions, what are our resources and assets to create development models to bring additional housing to Fergus Falls. Creating awareness and education, so that was a topic that really looked at how do we make, do we have the ability to help some of our renters become buyers? Do we have some education resources to make sure people know about the resources that are available, that there's a single go-to place for housing resources. There are a lot of resources to help people to ensure everybody is in quality, safe housing, and we want to make sure that that asset is put together in such a way. Establishing and enforcing maintenance standards and programs, and that also looked at making sure we are using some of the tools that we can, financial tools. You heard from the HRA at the last council meeting about applying for another small cities development grant, and that would help with fix up, or just, we've wrapped up our last program, but there might be other resources we could tap into to bring some cash and dollars into the community to help with our existing housing stock and making sure that that is maintained and again, quality housing. Looking at additional infill opportunities, the city has started that. Last year we had several lots that have now been sold to other development groups to bring in new single-family infill products. Is there additional opportunity for that? A kind of a generic conversation about making sure we are investing in those amenities within the community that are most desired to ensure that we're aligning our assets with what people are looking for from a housing perspective. There was again, one of the models that was reviewed was, designing smaller lots that people aren't always looking for large lot, single-family homes that they may want, that also helps the price point, the entry point to get into a home, if you're looking at a 50-foot lot versus a 100-foot lot. So that was another area that was talked about. And then just making sure we do truly understand what are our housing needs, from handicap accessibility, and just again, that right housing product, whether it is the smaller lot, single family, or townhome, or condo, or what is our particular need. So those are the results. It was a 2.5-hour process, and folks weren't ready to go. We had committed to be done at a certain time, and attendees to the workshop were really engaged in the topic. So I just want to emphasize that. A great appreciation for people who took that time out of their day and to provide their input. Results of this workshop was reviewed by the EIC at a planning session they held in May, and their recommendation was for the city council to authorize the formation of that task force, that the city would be the lead on that work. There really isn't another entity that can bring all these parties together and provide the support that would be needed. Again, the task force would have a particular time frame. We're looking at 3 to 5 months in discussion with some of the key partners, including the HRA. Was thought that, we want to keep this. We want something to be actionable by 2019, if it is a development project, that it's something that action could be taken by next year. The group would be suggested to meet twice a month, because we know, at least I know from my experience, that when you meet once a month, sometimes you forget what was talked about at the last meeting, and I've had better experience with task forces where you are meeting twice a month to get the work done in a faster time frame. And when you're asking people to commit to something, it's a shorter period of time, whether it's 4 months or whatever we determine is the appropriate window of time. And then again, looking at probably a membership between 12 to 15 people, starting with the participants of that task or that workshop, because they were very tuned in. We were very thoughtful about who that invitation was extended to. There were some who weren't able to come, just a couple that are interested in the topic. But so we would look for people to make that commitment to be able to attend the meetings and be active participants in that task force. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. There are some representatives from the HRA here who are very supportive of advancing this work as well. And April as well has been supporting this work through the housing, the rental licensing, and other knowledge points we have at the city.
Thank you. Amy, any questions of the committee for Amy or the HRA or for April? No? If not, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Brent. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All same sign, that motion carries. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
We're up next with a discussion on semi-tractor and trailer parking in residential and B3 zones.
I can introduce this topic, but April Zumach through Code Enforcement has been the lead communicator on this topic. The particular area that has come up is on Stanton near Oak, where the 420 West Stanton, where there are semi-trailers parked. You know, there's a couple of options that we could pursue, but my recommendation is that we look at really analyzing what other code changes need to be made and how that would impact the overall zoning district to ensure that we are balancing the business needs. You know, at that area, it is a merger of residential to business. It is a business zone where particularly there's a single-family home next to some challenging parking structures.
I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
said Stanton?
Stanton, 420 West Stanton is the particular area that's come up in
So
question.
Vine and
Yep,
Oak.
Oak,
right?
yep.
Vine and Oak area, okay.
Correct. And as we look at, you know, some other issues in that particular zone, I think there's some room for improvement in a number of areas to make things a better place. We are in the final moments of securing a city planner candidate. We expect an offer to be extended within the next week, if not sooner, to that candidate. And this is an important topic that I would like to give more thought, come back with some recommendations once that person has come on board, and have more of a holistic approach to a solution. But want to get that direction, just know that we are looking at it and get any further direction on that. And again, April's been more specifically involved in it and could provide more background on the topic that's really driving the discussion for further review.
I've talked to April about it, and I know the situation, but there's other places in town too, I think, and April and I have talked about that we need to make sure it doesn't impact different things, and we need to clean
Right.
up a few things, and so I'm all in favor
Right.
of moving ahead, but waiting until the new planner comes on board also, and they can
Right.
work together.
Yes, Brent?
The question I have is this something that the city is brought up, or has this been complaints from surrounding housing that's near this?
Sure, yeah, there has been some issues brought up by neighborhood residents.
Okay, because the reason I mean, if this guy is parking this stuff and this is zoned a business area and he can park it there, I mean, the people when they bought the house knew that. That's like people down in the cities buying a house dirt cheap next to the airport and then complaining about the noise.
The people are complaining lived there before this, and these people are living on the premises too, that have this. So it's a balance you gotta make, but yes, it was there, the people that are complaining were there before, so.
Okay.
Let's just let them do their job and see what comes back with it, so.
Fair enough. Good? Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.
All right, next item on the agenda is Councilmember Mr. Jim Fish. Discussion on city council salary.
If everybody got a copy of the little graph I put together, the council has not had a raise since 2007, which is quite a number of years. And one of the reasons for bringing it up at this time is any increase in wages or anything for council members has to be done before an election, and then it takes place January 1st after the election. That's why I'm bringing it up now. I know that Anthony brought up a year or two ago about life insurance, and at that time we didn't do anything because there was an election coming. So I thought this was a good time to do that. And as you see, we were at 650 back in 2007, and going down through the increases that we have given staff through the years. For 2018, that would equate for council members to $815. The mayor was at $1,075, and that would equate to $1,349.27. That's not exactly where I'm at and what my proposal would be, but the other thing is, Bill, anything on life insurance, I know that Anthony brought that up at one of the council meetings. Yeah, how much of a cost is that? And it would depend on how much, I would
Right,
imagine.
and we'd have to work with our HR department. I don't know off the top of my head. It's not a large cost.
Okay.
Life insurance isn't, so.
I guess my proposal would be for 2018 to raise the, which would go into effect for 2019, would be to raise the council to $800 a month and the mayor to $1,300 per month. And have Bill look at the insurance, see what that would cost, and that could be an adder beside. But my proposal is for $800 for council, $1,300 for mayor. From back in 2007, we have a lot more work, a lot more meetings, and I think it's time the council wages were raised.
All right, thank
So
you.
that's my proposal.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone have any questions, comments? I think we can bring this to the full council Monday night for discussion and a vote. How's that sound?
And when we do that, have Bill, if we could, if he's got time, to do a budget impact and on everything with the wages increase. I think it's about $1,800 a year. Does that sounds about right?
Yep, I can have that put together. I will not be here Monday night. I'm away at a conference Monday, Tuesday, but have something prepared for you, so.
Okay, thank you.
And I spoke to Bill beforehand and Andrew both on this whole thing, and they were supportive of it.
We're good to bring this for discussion and action on Monday night? Nope. One way or the other? Good? Okay, thank you, Jim. Next item on the agenda is a single-sort recycling update. Public Works Director Guy Taylor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Councilman Roofer had asked for an update on this, so just briefly, since beginning the program in October of last year to date, that number, 2,248,260, is pounds, not tons. So, you guys in the media, it's pounds, not tons.
That's a lot of tons.
Yeah, so that does translate into a savings, I guess you could say. We haven't paid out in tipping fees $101,780. So it's an effective program. It's very well received in the community. We do have some work to do to get participation up. It is trending up, but we do have some work to do in just getting those numbers up. Every resident has been given a can, so we just need to educate them on how to use it and encourage them to do so. So, if there's any questions on that, that's basically all I have on that.
Yes, go ahead.
1,000, what's the percentage of what we usually pay? I mean, I don't, it looks like a lot of money, but is that a lot of money, what we're saving? 101,000 versus how much we paid last, let's say, the year before prior?
I
Any
guess
idea?
I could
Could you look that up and let me know what
Yeah,
just the
I
difference is? I think Tom would ask the same question.
Darren, did you have a question?
Yeah, commercial,
Commercial's included in this.
okay.
Yeah, it's not just residential here.
And then the percentage of the commercial that have the green container?
I can get you those numbers too. We haven't included all commercial businesses in the program yet. We're slowly getting them on board, but each month we're adding more. But yeah, we can get you those numbers.
Just for information, when we went to this recycling, I had a large 300-gallon garbage can, and then I got the little one. Well, now it's the other way around. I have a large 300 recycling one and a little garbage. So I think it's more important. I mean, it's good for the resident too, but the business or community needs to understand that they can get a larger container because they fill up really quick. And I'm just a small business. I'm just sure that other places can use a lot more of them. So it's a good thing. It's a great thing for me. I just like it. So.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Guy. I think we can all agree that it's been a tremendous success, so thanks to you and your staff for all the work that you put into this. On behalf of all the city.
I just got a question to your point. Is 300 the biggest they can get for the local business, and do they get picked up, like residents are every other week? Do we do a
We could
different route for
schedule-
the business? Because I'm guessing they probably fill up quicker than every 2 weeks.
And it does. Mine fills, it depends on how the volume is, but it's always full on the second, on the end of the 2 weeks. I mean, it's packed, which, so.
Yeah,
In my
based
other
on the
garbage
need.
can, there's hardly anything in there, so.
Based on the need, we could schedule it more frequently, weekly, or whatever.
And you have
300
as
gallon
well.
is about the largest we can
Okay.
get a business though.
I just think from the commercial side, it might need.
Yeah, okay. And I have one, on residential, how many people are putting them out every 2 weeks? Do you, is there any,
I don't have the numbers for every 2 weeks, but for a month, say just in the month of May, there was 7,380 that put them out throughout the month. So,
because like ourselves, just my wife and I, 2 weeks it doesn't fill up, so we usually do it once a month.
yeah.
And most of the people along in our area there are just husband and wife or just wife, and it is, so they don't fill that quickly. So I was just wondering, is there areas we could pick up less often?
Mm.
Or
Yeah,
do you?
it'd be pretty tough to
not
identify
want to do
that.
that? I mean, I understand you've got a schedule and you just want
Yeah.
to keep that, so.
Yeah, I guess it would just be up to the resident to put it out as they
To
need
put it out or not put it out,
Yeah.
okay.
To be or not to be? Okay. Thank you, Guy. Last item on the agenda is a city mower golf course update. Guy Taylor.
Thank you. Back in April, I had asked for the council to declare 2 lawnmowers surplus. That was done. Since then, the golf course staff has identified some needs out there for equipment and communicated that need to me. And so I'm just requesting that those 2 mowers that had been declared surplus be, that resolution be reversed and those units be kept in the city fleet and the golf course be able to use them. They would maintain them, they would pay for operations, and then they would be available for us to use in case of a breakdown that would cause one of our mowers to be down for an extended period of time.
Any questions, Guy? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make it.
Council to reverse that decision.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Justin. Second.
I'll
Scott?
second it, yep.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion
One
carries.
one other
Jim.
thing I was gonna say, we do have some volunteers out there now that will be doing some mowing of roughs, and probably that'll be one of the places that those are used.
Okay, we'll have to look and see how volunteers using city equipment works, but,
Well, I'm one of them.
okay. Okay, all right.
And I think we are covered on our insurance for that, for volunteers, but we'll double check that too, so.
I have a couple things.
All right, go ahead, Amy. We have a couple updates and additional items from Amy Baldwin.
All right, so just one item that will be on Monday's agenda to give you a heads up. We will have a purchase agreement for the Regional Treatment Center developer we've been working with for the east and west attached. So we've received a draft of that and comments back, so we are comfortable that we'll have a version that will be before the council on Monday evening. And then also 1010 Maryland Lane, which is the former Catholic Charities. We did have an encroachment agreement that we considered in relation to the purchase of that. And they have requested some additional assistance in getting that building back up into production to ensure it stays on the tax base and is functional with operations and employees and things like that. So there will be a public hearing related to a potential tax abatement for that property. So to give you a heads up on that. Happy to talk about it in advance. So if you have any questions after you get the packet, feel free to give me a call to talk through that item. And then I wanted to reference, we already did talk about the housing task force and got your direction to move forward on that. But just some of the folks who have come since we spoke have expressed the commitment and desire to come forward. So as you'll see, you have representatives of our realty community development, and as well as some other partner nonprofits. So just wanted to express our appreciation for them participating in the workshop and then coming here today. So looking forward to getting that process moving forward. And then finally, the Ford Fergus Falls Community Celebration will be tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. with a light breakfast and coffee, lots of coffee, to talk about some of the great things happening in the community. This theme is around community building, and there'll be a number of different speakers talking about areas that they are working either as organizations or as volunteers within the community to build a better community. And we're just want to highlight some of those, have some calls to action for the broader community to support those efforts. And then finally, we'll be launching some more information on the Forward Fergus Falls campaign of elevating Forward Fergus Falls as the umbrella brand for the community. So we'll be talking about that and launching some additional information associated with that effort. So hope to see everyone there. No need to RSVP, just come over to M State to Legacy Hall. Again, 7 a.m. for the breakfast, 7:30 or so start of the program itself, and will be wrapped up by 9 a.m.
And the entire community is invited.
Everybody is invited. It's free of charge.
7 a.m. Legacy Hall,
7
tomorrow,
a.m.
June 14th.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. Hope to see lots of people there.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks,
Anything
Amy.
else to come before this committee? We're adjourned.
I don't know, expired now.